asphalt, so.
Just doesn't match,
Good
is all I
black.
wanted. The rest of it kind of nice, and you put a, this was
Yeah.
curious anyway.
And they will be back into, they have to still do the radii around all of the ADA and the new curve that was put in there. They just went straight through that. So they will be back in to do some small seal coating areas. So if there is an area that needs to be addressed, that would be the time to do it. Even with the new patch, having that joint between the new and the old sealed on top is gonna be beneficial for the term of that patch and that street.
Oh, it was sprayed down, it wasn't like a true seal coat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But painted surface or whatever.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay.
Good job on Fifth Avenue South.
Hey, it's getting
We're
there.
gaining.
It's getting there, so we're going, on Fifth Ave, we're actually gonna plan on, there's a video crew coming in to, video some of the sanitary sewers for that lining project that we don't have on video for review. Just for cautionary sakes, they're gonna be in town, we're, anticipating that they will do Fifth again, just to verify that that we didn't hit the main anywhere before we put a new street on top of it.
Yeah.
So since they're in town in that area anyways, it won't take very much time to shoot one hole 2 ways to verify that.
And they'll look at all the slip lining areas. It's part of the slip lining project that'll be upcoming, the budget amount. And then on top of that, the Lewis Street alignment, the storm sewer, we'll look at that, see what sort of damage is in there. Right now, we're looking at 2 patches, seem like they actually might be adequate there. But if we see something when we
Yeah.
televise it, then
You
we'll
can-
go as far as it needs to be taken.
Yeah, there's the 2 holes that are there right now on Lewis Street. That clay tile does have a long lifespan, but it's probably approaching the end of it. You're probably sitting at 80 to 100 years on that clay tile. Originally, there's a couple that collapsed, and that's what started your suck hole and so forth there. Instead of just patching those 2, since we have a camera crew coming into town, we're gonna go between the 2 patches and downstream of it and upstream if possible, to see what that pipe is like, to see if it warrants replacing between the patches or continuing down the street or up the street if necessary.
How far west does that go from where the collapsed part is?
I'm unaware of that. I can't answer that. But we're gonna find out pretty soon
Okay. Then,
with the camera on it.
okay. How bad that was anyways. So we were looking at getting that fixed, Joe. This year.
Yeah, once it's ready to go, they want to get on it.
Yeah, our intent is to have that camera at the first thing that then when they come into town, so we can physically be there to see it, so that we can give some direction to Wunsch for pricing, and he can just mobilize from Fifth Ave over to Lewis to get that thing corrected in a timely manner.
Bring us up to speed on anything else then?
Police department, still working on getting the officer replaced. We have started interviews on that. We've interviewed a few folks, and hopefully we'll get it narrowed down pretty quick here and have somebody for the council to approve. Beyond that, the fire grant for the truck still has not come through. It appears they are starting to run out of money, because when you look at what grants are coming through now, and so we'll have to reapply next year for the truck, and it also for the USDA grant for the radios. Both of those were not funded. And then playground equipment at Hines. This has been a long time coming, but we should be getting that into the ground very soon here. Jens is either going to or is already starting to dig out the area for the equipment to go in.
Is that
Behind Hines.
where you were waiting for the new property that you're going to get, or is this going into?
Well, it's actually
the old property?
where we decided to put it is actually behind the ball diamonds, kind of towards the batting cage area there. There's a chunk of land right there, and the new area that I guess that's the next thing. Bill Peterson donated a big swath of land over to the city right behind Heinz Field, and so those lots will probably be able to accommodate some practice fields, some area for kids to engage in rec programs of different kinds. It'd be good to have another space for those activities to go on. But he donated those over in the last 2 weeks, and The thought was to try and use some of that area for the playground equipment at Heinz, but when you look at it, if you put that back there, it starts to encroach on how much of that room you have for those fields. And so the thought is it's just as accessible from that other area if you walk down the foul line there, so,
Probably even more so,
yeah, I think it's a good location.
where the batting cages are.
In the southeast corner.
Now, who's assembling the playground equipment then? though?
The parks guys.
The parks guys.
Yeah, they'll do it. So they'll do all the digging work, get everything excavated out, get so that you have the proper protections and fall protection, so it's compliant, and then get those holes dug, and then the parks guys will put it in from there. So it'll be good to get that over there. I think it'll be used quite a bit. Beyond that, we've had our workman's comp review with IMWCA. If you remember, we switched to IMWCA a few years ago with the hope of, we actually did save a considerable amount of money by switching to them. Our work comp rate was just sky high. I think it was like 1.62, which meant our premiums were out of control. A lot of those were situations that we could prevent their public safety positions getting injured in the line of duty. And it's pretty hard to avoid that from happening, but.
We'd have traded you for 3-1 from the landfill.
Oh, jeez, yeah, no, I don't want that. So we switched over to IMWCA, and they take a very serious safety approach. They come in and they audit, and they give programs, and they just little things to try and make sure that you're doing everything as best as possible to drive that work comp mod rate down as much as possible. So they came in, they did the audit, they reviewed the facilities, and our rate is going down. We are seeing some really positive comments. Working hard to try and make sure that we continue to have a safety culture within the city, and I feel like the guys are doing a really good job. And that was evidence. There was a lot of evidence when they came through, just keeping things at the right height, keeping things paths clear, making sure control panels are open, so complying with OSHA requirements and just complying with common sense so that you don't end up with injuries. So it was a good review. Things like that, it doesn't seem like much, but if we could get that mod factor down to 1, you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 that we don't have to ask the taxpayers to cover. So it's smart to keep them safe and smart to keep them safe so that we don't have to pay as much. So it's good news.
Anything else?
Nope, that's what I got.
Gloria?
Just wanted to remind people that the burn dates are October 17th, November 7th, and November 21st. And did we set a brush pickup?
I thought
Yeah,
that was a motion.
October 12th is brush pickup. And so everything has to be out by 6 a.m. on October 12th. Nothing larger than 8 inches?
6.
6 inches. Nothing larger than 6 inches in diameter, no longer than 7 feet long. So,
Do we have
getting it down.
Do we grind anything for the compost pile, or does everything get hauled off for board now?
Compost pile, all gets grown. The brush pile, yeah,
The brush pile,
yeah,
sorry.
the brush pile gets grown, all of it, at this point. We've talked to some different folks about possible grinding, but we'd have to have the equipment. We don't have equipment. We've talked about possibly using blow bark for it, and that's something we can continue to look into. Honestly, the emerald ash borer is going to kind of force the issue. We're going to have to figure out better ways to get rid of things because you can't just burn that amount of wood. And so at a certain point, you're probably going to start just letting it sit somewhere. A lot of cities do that where they find a vacant spot and pile up the wood and just let it decompose in that area. Habitat.
Rabbits.
Could be a lot.
Rabbits.
It could be given away though also, couldn't it? Because as long as you don't transport it out of the county that it's in,
Yeah.
it could be, offered to people for
Yeah.
to burn or any number of
Yeah.
issues.
Be
Several
happy-
things we could look into.
Happy to have people take it off.
Anything else, Gloria?
No.
Bill? No? Joel?
Yeah, as I was up collecting signatures for the election in November, I was on Sixth Avenue and saw that there was plenty of fast cars that are still whistling down through there, and I'm assuming that it's still a problem on Elmhurst Avenue, and I'm wondering what further steps can we take? I know we took some steps earlier, and I had talked with Aaron, and he said that it made a difference for a while, and now it seems like it might be on the backslide again. And I was at Aaron's house on Sunday afternoon, and we were talking on his front porch, and his kids were out in the front yard, and this car just is sailing by. And I think it's a definite problem. And I think we need to take some steps to do something else about it. I'm not quite sure what it is. Maybe if the police are not sure what we want, maybe we need to put together a 3-person committee that, and I don't know, I know Aaron has a lot of stuff to do, but, or with somebody, that we can give them some direction, if they need direction. I'm not exactly sure why they need, I don't know if it's a direction problem, maybe they don't need it, maybe they do, I'm not sure why, but I think we need to do something about this, because we're back in school again, and it just seems to be an ongoing problem, and this is the complaints that I get all the time.
We could buy a speed camera like $4.
I've actually looked at it.
Well,
I don't think that would be
you know,
terrible.
I mean,
Everyone's buying them, so it's.
I said that to Aaron, I said, maybe we could talk to these companies about leasing one for 30 days and just see how many tickets we could give out. And then post that in the paper and say, this is how many tickets we could have issued, and this is how much money would have been lost or donated to whatever. So people realize that this is a serious deal. I mean, this car was going fast. I mean, it was over 40 miles an hour, it looked like to me.
It's not
And
uncommon.
that's not even reasonable. That's not even reasonable. So I guess that's, everybody, I'd like to talk about this at the further meeting, so I just wanted to bring it up, whether we did maybe start up a committee to help the sheriff give him some direction. Do we get reports on how many tickets are written and what they're doing? And,
We
I mean,
get-
that's something that we need.
Yeah, and we get a report of what reports were issued, so if they get a call, what reports that were issued. We do not get anything as far as tickets that were issued.
Well, I think we need that. I think that's something that this committee could maybe work on, getting this so people have, Aaron is armed with the information. You know, I talked with another gentleman today that brought it up over lunch, and he said, well, maybe it's with the way the rules have changed, that they, kids can lose their license with one ticket now because they're on a graduated driver's license. And that is a consideration. So, but that doesn't say that you can't write warning tickets, and have a 3 strikes rule if it's the same repeat people doing it. But I think we need to do something about it. And I just like the rest of the council to, put a little thought into it, and we can talk about it at one of the next meetings, about moving ahead with something else. I guess that's all I've got.
John?
I just had several calls in the last couple of weeks about people mowing their grass out into the street and now leaves. People are raking their leaves and blowing their leaves out into the street, and it plugs up the storm sewers. And I don't know how many times we have to say it, but,
Do we need to print, maybe we need to print our law on that about not doing that? Maybe people don't
Yeah.
understand that even when we talk about it.
I think there's a lot of people out there that just
It-
don't,
it
they
should-
don't take the paper. They don't listen to the radio, they don't listen to us, they don't, and.
But it goes back to the ordinance enforcement.
Yeah, exactly, it does, so. But anyway, just a reminder, keep it in your yard, that's all I got.
Dan?
No, nothing this evening.
Same thing, John, I've heard several people talk about grass in the yards, again,
Yeah.
mowing it out, and I've purposely watched, driven by, and the guy's mowing first pass out the street, I'm like,
Yeah,
you gotta be kidding me.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
I stopped a couple times and you get not pleasant conversations, so
No.
I quit that, so.
I know.
Alrighty, With that, we need a motion to schedule Monday, October 5th, 2015, at 5:30 PM as the date and time for the next regular meeting of the Humboldt City Council, during the session at 6:40 PM.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you and good night.